NFC North. This is the toughest division for me in football. The Lions have the best roster. I'll pick them 1. The Vikings have the worst roster. I'll pick them 4. And yes, Chicago's got a tough road schedule. No question. But they literally went and got Pro Bowlers on their interior O-line. And again, if they can get a running back with their first pick, the coaching upgrade at Chicago from what they were to what they are is going to be like the quarterback upgrade from Will Levis to Cam Ward. Like, it's going to change outcomes. I have Chicago second. Here's Green Bay's tough for me because I've got to be totally honest about this. I really fell for Jordan Love. But last year against playoff teams, dude completed 60% of his throws with a passer rating at 81 and was 2-6. In the building at the end of the year, I watched the way they coached him. I think they lost some confidence in him. So I think Bears-Packers is down to the final week of the year to figure out who gets into the playoffs.
Okay, let's talk about this. I'm going to do this in 2 separate videos. So I'm going to play this clip once and talk about the Bears, and then I want to talk about the Vikings. So if you're watching this clip and you're a Vikings fan, you're like, what the heck? I'm going to do it separate because I want to talk about both these teams separately because I've seen this clip technically before because he's doing you can see the top right corner best of football, I guess, because of everything that's happening with basketball and stuff like that. So, but I don't remember if I actually reacted to this clip, but and I didn't remember the order, but I really kind of just had this aha moment about the Bears because at first I was kind of like, you know what, I really want to talk about the Bears and the Vikings and this idea that like how can the Bears leapfrog the Vikings or even the Packers for that matter, but especially the Vikings considering they won 14 games. They were a win away from being the number 1 seed, winning the division, et cetera, et cetera. And now we know J.J. McCarthy, without a shadow of doubt, is going to be the quarterback. But I really kind of had this aha moment with the Bears. And I was like, oh, do I want to say this out loud? But, and maybe this will change. But the way how I'm feeling right now, the end of March, is that outside of Caleb Williams ending up being like a bust or maybe just a really slow development, it's going to take him like 2-3 years, following a Sam Darnold model, and or Ben Johnson just not able to run a team, right? He's obviously really smart, great offensive coach, but just can't run the team, can't be the head coach. Just one of those guys who, just is a little overwhelmed by everything, trying to do too much, et cetera, et cetera. I think the Bears are going to be awesome, and I think it'll come down between the Bears and the Lions to win the division, then not, the Bears and the Packers to make the playoffs. If Caleb is as great as he's supposed to, I don't even mean like generational talent, like where he's supposed to be like the great next big thing, but just like, just 90% of the potential that people believe. And I mean like real analysis, not the hype train of like, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen. I just mean someone who's, like, hey, this guy really can ball. We just need to see it more consistently and develop, et cetera, et cetera. If he's even just a chunk of that, and Ben Johnson is the coach that he's supposed to be, I'm failing to see how they don't ball. How they don't have the year, this coming year, that people thought they were going to have last year. So I mean, and maybe it's kind of a situation where, hey, the Lions are just ahead, kind of like how the Eagles were just ahead of the Commanders. Totally open to that as well. I'm on the record saying I think that there's a real chance that the Lions can take a step back because of losing their coaching. Not to say that means that they're just done, because I can also make the argument that I could see it benefiting them, at least offensively. But I'm a firm believer in coaching. Coaching matters to me more than a lot of other fans that I've kind of observed over the years. So, and so I just think that getting the coaching situation set with Caleb and taking care of the O-line and again now having the coach to be able to tie this all together, who actually has a true offensive game plan. And I don't even just mean like an individual game plan, but just like a game plan for like, this is what we're going to try to accomplish during this season with clear objectives and intentions, and the knowledge to know how. I just can't see how this Bears team doesn't become significantly better, because then you're also going to get a significantly better version of Caleb. And to me, it just feels that it's like this synergistic relationship that is greater than the sum of its parts. So I think in a weird way, there's potential that the Bears are actually being undervalued. And again, I get it. Some people who are probably not Bears fans are going to be like, oh, this was so much hype last year. Here we go again. I wasn't part of that massive hype train. I thought that they were going to be better than they were last year, but I wasn't calling for Caleb to be an MVP and he was going to be in the Super Bowl. And they're like, I wasn't doing that. And in fact, I was originally pushing back on a lot of that, and then I kind of got moved a little bit because I kind of got convinced. I was like, "Oh, Shane Waldron," because originally I was like, I got some question marks about Shane Waldron and this or that." But then, like, even I kind of got influenced. I was like, "All right, maybe this team actually will be better." And I convinced myself, and it's still the one take that I'm mad at myself, because if you saw an earlier video, I've always been meaning to look for it, where I was definitely kind of like, yeah, I don't know, and I questioned a lot of stuff, and then I kind of went off on that. And I wish I stuck to it more, because it would have ended up being correct. But again, that's on me more than anything. And it does feel like this year I have similar feelings to kind of how I had about the Washington Commanders in the offseason. Once they drafted Jaden Daniels and had Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Quinn kind of all together. And I just remember thinking to myself, this team is going to be significantly better than people are giving credit for. The fact that I had the Eagles win the division and the Commanders second, like, Cowboys fans were like, what are you talking about? This is insane. And it was just like, just wait, and just wait. And now you have the gift of Caleb at least playing for a year. And although I don't think he really developed all that much, he still at least understands what it's like to wake up on a Sunday and play football in the NFL. He understands just what the traffic looks like. He understands what it's like to sit on the plane, wearing Bears gear, right? Like, he just knows. He's obviously played football his entire life, but he knows the NFL now, at least, right? Like, he knows what it's like to be interviewed, to have the conversations, to see the sports shows talk about him nonstop in ways that they did not do when he was in college, because everything is obviously heightened. He knows what it's like to have a bad quarter and have his own fans boo him and stuff. Like, he's been through a lot, and I think at the very least that will benefit him as well. And I think Ben Johnson will also make a good shield for that. So, yeah, just watching this and seeing these four teams kind of in this list and just being like, okay, how can I make sense of this? I'm like thinking to myself, I think the Bears have a real chance to win the division. I'm not making any hard predictions right now, and I may not even at all, because I have to see the draft, of course. And I even want to see preseason games, even though I'm not, acting like those games matter so much. But I just, I want to look for other signs to try to confirm kind of where my, what direction my mind is going in right now. And again, I feel obligated to say this, even though we all know this, like, it's only March, it's so early, but it's just like, I'm such an open and honest person that I just like have to keep mentioning that, because it's just kind of like, we're just so far away that it's like, it is uncomfortable to start having these conversations this far out. But I do believe that there's tremendous reason to have a lot of optimism. And you know what? If Caleb struggles this year and Ben Johnson can't get this offense going in the right direction, like, yeah, I would be legitimately shook a little bit. I would be like, whoa, this is like, I'm not sure what I'm seeing then. Like, am I actually watching a quarterback who I believe is better than he is, and he's struggling? Like, I would have to really wrestle. Why am I seeing what I'm seeing? So I definitely do have a lot of confidence and a lot of belief in this going in the right direction. So I think optimism is warranted, and I think saying that the Bears will be competing with the Packers for a playoff spot feels not fully accurate, quite frankly. I think the Bears, actually, considering the things that they're doing, should put them more in the driver's seat than not. But who knows? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears? I guess kind of on a fringe playoff team, according to Colin. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.